This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source. On Sand Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM. And Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. All right, Houston, this is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, here with my favorite sidekick, Ruby Day.
Hey,
how are you, Ruby?
I'm fine. How are you?
Well, we're going to be having soon Representative Jarvis Johnson, and I also believe that we have Representative Sean Theory that's going to be calling in. But first, I want to just say it is Memorial Day.
Yes, it is.
And, you know, sometimes here in America, we take so many things for granted, like democracy, the right to vote, the right to have free speech, all the things that makes this country so great. And you have to remember there are hundreds of thousands of people who died for that right.
That's right.
There are many that have been arrested, all these things. So we have those rights. And all you got to do is look at what's going on in the world. In Ukraine, one of our colleagues here at our office, her family's from Ukraine. And her family, they don't know what they're going to be doing from day to day.
Yes.
And they hear the sirens, and they're in the capital. So they're not at the front lines. But it's a scary time for them. And sometimes they can't even talk to their family.
Yeah, that's got to be scary.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine that?
No. I get nervous when I can't get a hold of my kids.
Right? I know,
they're in town.
That's right. And then, of course, you think about what's going on there at the Gaza Strip. And I read an editorial from a doctor who's there, and he just talked about the number of kids that are being killed, that are suffering. It's like he said, it's a whole lost generation of youth there in that region. And think about the scars they're going to live with, because all they see is suffering.
Right.
And this is a doctor, so this isn't like someone with an axe to grind. And he's not making a political statement, and he's not picking a side. He's just saying, I'm a doctor, and kids are coming in mutilated. They don't have adequate medicine. They don't even, it's so bad that the other volunteers, they're all giving blood because there's no blood bank.
Wow.
So they're all giving blood to at least have some blood for people. And so that is why let us just give thanks on Memorial Day for those who have fought for freedom here in the world, and here in Texas, and here in America, and here in Houston, all of us. So to all of those who have served, past or present, and for all of those who have family members who served, we salute you.
Yes.
What an amazing thing. On a lighter note, I did do something very interesting, Ruby. Oh, but we have a caller already. Is there a caller? Dominic, are you there?
Yes, Gil.
Talk to me, Dominic.
Okay. I think that I get an echo here, but I'm beginning to wonder. Can you hear it clearly, Gil?
We can hear you, pal.
Okay, it's on my. My thing is, you heard about the problems we're having on Shepherd Durham. A management district is narrowing lanes on Shepherd Durham. It's going to be complete between 14th and the Loop. My thing is, if you were chair of Metro, if Metro is going to do something major on a major road, we had to get a vote of the people. That's in the city charter. I think the state should look at these management districts and the turds. If they're going to do massive projects on right-of-way, That has to come before the vote of the people. This thing on Shepherd was not put before the people. If this was a metro project, it would have to. I think the state legislators need to look at these turds and put them under control and make them realize they are the servants of the city or county or whatever, and they need a permission of the people to do something on public property.
Dominic, hold on.
Comments for today. Back to you.
No. Stay with me. What are they doing over there? And where again? Where is it on Durham? Or Shepherd?
Shepherd Durham. You know what that is?
Yeah, that's right there, like by St. Thomas High School.
The south end of Shepherd. Shepherd Durham is a dual roadway.
Right.
It's the beginning of it is just north of St. Thomas. You are correct.
Right.
It goes a little bit north of the loop. It's it's two streets, but each one is a one-way street.
Right.
Okay. The Heights Management District got a grant or something where they are redoing Shepherd. Now those streets need to be repaved. I have a problem with that. But they took a lane out. It used to be 4 lanes north, 4 lanes south. They took a lane out, and instead of a 6-foot wide sidewalk, it's like a 10-foot sidewalk with a bike lane.
Oh, come on.
Nobody's using in this hot weather.
Oh, my goodness.
My thing is, with a major construction project, I think what needs to happen is, like I said, if Metro has that permission from the voters to do something like that, I think a management district or the turds, that should be on the ballot and let us decide whether we want that street improved in that particular manner.
Amen. You know what? Because that affects everybody, Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, you wonder, these management districts, these turds, they're just like, gone wild. I mean, because they're just spending money and the whole thing. I think we should revisit them all because it's just a way to circumvent the public, the city council, and the mayor's use of taxpayer dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So
I want to say something.
You go.
When I talked to Jim Robinson, he was on Metro Board, but he was also in charge of budget management in Harris County. He knows his stuff on this. What would happen if a turd went belly up or it was declared unconstitutional or something of that nature? These turds are putting up bonds. He said if a turd goes under, that liability ends up on the city budget. And my thing is, if that's the case, I've got by the state constitution, if a entity has a bond, puts up a bond to build something, other than a courthouse, it has to go before the vote of the people. And I think to me these turds are an entity of its own. We need to clean that up.
Very good, Dominic. Thanks for calling in. Ruby, it's one of those things where it was good intentions gone bad. Mm-hmm. In other words, with these jerseys in Houston, what that means is property taxes in these areas. And how do you define a TERS? It's typically an area where there's a similar type demographic. And so, in other words, there's an up-down TERS, there's a downtown TERS, there's a midtown TERS. Mm-hmm. It's like a similar region. And what they do is when it's set up from that day forward, they get all the increase of the property taxes to spend.
And they themselves decide how to spend that?
Yes.
And yet they still get city services?
That's correct. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. So this is a board that is not elected, but they're spending taxpayer dollars. And when you look at the city of Houston and people say, we're broke, well, you doggone right we're broke.
They're not getting
because we're not getting all the money we should be getting, including all these TERSs. Because, of course, it was meant to be a way for areas that were desperately in need of improvement, that they could then keep their taxpayer dollars for their community. Instead, it has become the haves and the want to have. Mm-hmm. In other words, the haves, uptown, midtown, they have more money than they know what to do with. So they've got all these fancy, Christmas things and Christmas lights, which are beautiful. But other parts of the city have open ditches.
Right.
And stray dogs. And it's just outrageous. Dominic, I've got to find someone to be an expert. Go ahead.
the Shepherd Durham thing also affects me as a transit user. I ride the 27 Shepherd.
Amen. That's right. It affects anyone who's going anywhere there. And all of a sudden, there's going to be a lot more traffic because there's a bike lane that's not going to be used.
And I know that area. I haven't been there recently, Dominic, but I'm going to go take a drive by because I remember that used to be nothing but used auto lots.
Oh, really?
Car sales. Okay. And then it started, they started bringing in restaurants and all that. So all those new shops and restaurants are new. And we all know that when there is construction, sometimes it's going to hurt those businesses. Right. So I don't know. I'm really saddened to hear that because some of these great restaurants may have to end up having to close their doors.
And we at Metro,
the mayor wants to put in billions of dollars on a downtown management district thing for like $3 billion over a period of time. I want to vote on that. I think I have the right to vote on that.
Well, Dominic, you should. Dominic, thank you for calling in. Ruby, we have another caller already. I think it's Representative Sean Theory. Representative, are you there? That was a good topic. I need to get Terz's, someone who really knows it inside and out, to be on the show. So, Houston, I'm going to do that. I've got to get someone who really knows it so we can really talk with facts.
Yeah, and to see what monies has the city lost out on.
That's right. It's now probably over $1 billion.
And now I have to, I know there was talk about having to pay for a trash tax, all this. I mean,
that's right. That's right. That's exactly right. It all is connected.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Representative Theory.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on.
Let's go back to Representative Theory.
I don't know what's going on.
Hold on, we're having technical difficulties, Ruby.
It's a Monday.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And we're having everything's a technical difficulty.
The gremlin's supposed to come in tonight. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Hold on.
I'm so sorry. It's the system. It keeps trying. Hello?
Sean Theory.
Yeah, let me call you.
All right, we're going to keep going. But, I will tell you something that's really, really interesting is I did something with my family. I saw a little article in the Chronicle about it. It's called The Infinite.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. It is over there in the Sawyer Yards area.
Yeah, I know that area.
Okay, I did not know that area. Man, there is so much cool stuff there.
Yep.
I mean, you can't even imagine all the cool stuff. And the whole thing is this. Come on in there and look who just, look who just joined us here, Representative Jarvis Johnson. So we're gonna keep rolling here. So, Representative, I was just saying I did something really cool, real quick. And by the way,
because you woke up, brother. Everything you do is cool.
Well, I appreciate that. And of course, we're gonna get Representative Theory on the line. But I went to something really cool called The Infinite. It's right there in the Sawyer Yards, and it is a thing where I saw it in the Chronicle, and you go in there with what's that technology stuff that comes over your head and everything. You know what I'm talking about?
3D stuff.
3D stuff. That's right. Yeah. And so you're now looking through stuff, and at the end of the day, it's like you have avatars everywhere.
This is Claire. I'm currently.
Oops. So everyone is like an avatar, and you're there, and you're walking like you're in space, and you're looking as if you're walking on the space station. Mm-hmm. It is fantastic.
So it's like a whatever that.
That's right.
Virtual reality.
It's stuff. Not quite an hour, but it's almost an hour. It ain't cheap. It's about $40, but it is well worth it. And for those of you out there, Houston, if you ever had any doubt that there is a God,
hello,
there is a God. I know we're having difficulties here. I'm going to keep talking. If you ever have any doubt, when you're there, number one, you can see the vastness and it's called the infinite of space. The other is it's as if you're on the space station looking down on Earth, and you can see how precious the Earth is and how unique. And it just gives you a whole nother perspective. We're going to come back to Jarvis Johnson in 1 minute because I think we've had Sean Theory trying to call in. Representative, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you got me and Jarvis Johnson, and we are here on a tip from Gilbert. You're talking to all over Houston, 5 stations, lots of people. All I want to say is this: how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. A lot of people are calling and telling me they voted. And then, of course, we still got to get more people out. So I am knocking doors and asking everybody to please go out and vote tomorrow, Election Day. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., but I'm feeling good.
One thing I'm going to ask Representative Johnson here later so he can be thinking about it is this whole concept of candidates saying things that aren't true. Right. And there's got to be some sort of better policing. And on that one, I happen to receive something from from the media, Representative Theory, where your opponent, who has been chomping on the bit on some of your votes and speeches and so forth, and she's like in the same place you are. Tell us a little bit about that, because I thought it was outrageous.
Well, a couple things. You know, I represent House District 146, and I don't know if people have heard the phrase, but we call that talking out of both sides of your neck. And I just want to say, Gilbert, that truth matters.
That's super cool.
And honesty counts. It really counts for something. Voters are relying on people who are seeking higher office to tell them the truth of where they stand on an issue. That is the number one thing. And my opponent based her entire campaign of running against me because I voted that the age should be 18 before a child could have a sex change surgery. And then finally, when asked about it just last week, she stood in a Civic Club meeting and couldn't get any words out of her mouth when asked by a real constituent, well, what would you have done? What age do you think is appropriate? She pandered to flip-flop. She couldn't get the words out of her mouth. And so the thing is this: if you want to go to the State House and take on Republicans, you better be able to stand eyeball to eyeball, shoulder to shoulder, toe to toe with them. There's no time to be flip-flopping and not finding the words to get your position out of your mouth. And so she just basically folded, and she would not give an answer to the one issue that she launched her campaign on. And I think that says a lot. And, that's where we are now.
Well, I'll tell you what it says. It says don't vote for her because she's going to flip-flop the whole time. That's what it means. And if you can't stand up for what you're really about, well, my goodness, what are the people even voting for? And, what gets me is this. Look, I have 4 kids, and you can say whatever you want to say about me. I think I'm a very progressive person. I was Mayor Parker's campaign chairman, for goodness sakes. And some of my relatives are GLBT members, et cetera. At the end of the day, my daughter is 17, and I wouldn't want her to be doing things that, she's just a baby. She's just learning. What does she really know yet necessarily about her brain and her body and her thoughts and hopes and dreams? And the last thing you want to do is do something irreversible.
Gilbert,
especially without my consent. You go.
Well, let me say this. You said your daughter's 17.
Yes.
But it's even deeper than that. Without this bill, she could have been as young as 7. There was no minimum age on the books in Texas. We had cases of girls getting double mastectomies as young as 14. They just got their breasts, and now they're getting double mastectomies. Genital surgeries on boys. So, of course, we know we're the party of science. We're Democrats, right? We believe in science.
Right.
We know that the frontal lobe of the brain is not fully developed until 24. So at least we can say, give these kids some time until they're 18 before they make an irreversible decision where they're going to have to understand and appreciate that they will be on medications for the rest of their lives.
I don't even think you can buy alcohol yet. But yet you
can't buy alcohol.
You can't buy alcohol, but boy, you can just get a sex change. Come on.
Well, guess what else you can't even do in Texas?
Tell me.
You cannot even get a tattoo under 18 with your parents' consent.
Wow.
I have an 11-year-old daughter. It would be illegal if I took her right now to get a tattoo on her arm, her foot, her face, and said, well, it's what she wants, and I'm the mom, and I'm going to give her this tattoo.
You can't even get a tattoo? I did not know
because
that.
we understand. That's right. We'll tell you the public policy behind it, folks. We understand that that is a permanent decision and that a child cannot consent to the fact that they might contract hepatitis if the needle is dirty. Correct?
Right. That's right.
That they might not understand that that tattoo's never going to rub off.
Wow.
Correct?
That's right.
This is why we do this, and we have special protections under the law for children. Finally, I'll end on this. Guess what else you can't do under 18?
Tell me.
You can't even get a tan at a tanning salon.
Come on. You can't get
Absolutely
a tan.
not.
You can't get a tattoo. You can't get a beer, but you can go have a sex change.
You can
Something
cut
doesn't
your
sound
entire
right.
Genitals off. That's what my opponent said. That she said there shouldn't be any law in the books. Whatever age they want to be, they can be. They can cut off their entire body parts. But when asked about it, and here's the deal, we represent everyone in the district, southeast side, southwest side. You got an 84% black and brown district. It's not okay to pander to the few voters on the southwest side and say, oh, I'm for this. I'll lay my life down for it. And then come right in the black and brown community and say it's not a legislative priority. My words, not hers. It's not a legislative priority. And then to go further and say, and I don't think it's an issue that's impacting anyone in this room. How do you know? Why tell black voters it's an issue that doesn't apply to them? You know, talking down to your own people. So these are the things that have come out in this campaign. And I'll tell you, it's been a bombshell. And people are really shocked. One thing about me, you can say, no matter what, Sean Theory's going to stand. I listened to my constituents. I had the courage of my convictions and theirs. And I stood up despite any political retribution, because when it comes to kids, Gilbert, I will not play politics.
Amen.
I will not exchange political expediency for the sake of our children.
Well, I wish you nothing but great success. And, you know, we're going to have you on the show when it's victory time. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on in the district. And just tell us real quick, Election Day is tomorrow?
Election Day is tomorrow, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. You can vote in any location by district. Expands from south side of 3rd Ward, sunny side, South Park, Southwest Houston, NRG Medical Center, Westbury, a little bit of Meyerland, and a tad bit of A-Leaf. So I got you if you got me.
Wonderful. Representative, thank you for calling in.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gilbert.
You're welcome. So Representative Jarvis Johnson is with me. First of all, you have been really busy. And unlike, you know, what I mean by busy, you know, you answered the call and you've been helping your constituents with a storm.
Yep.
I mean, you could have just said, you know, I know there's a storm, but golly, I got to win and I'm going to be not you.
No.
What a great thing.
You put people over politics.
Ain't that the truth? Well, tell me, what all have you seen with the storm and what's been going on? And tell us all about all your efforts, because I know it's been a ton.
Yeah, it's been a real it was a hairy situation for everybody. You know, everybody was impacted, but truly, man, it was a lot of people in the vulnerable communities that did not have access to, you know, lights and air and things like that. Now, the first couple of nights, it was cool outside.
Yep.
But then the next couple of days, man, it got really, really, really hot. And then people just don't realize the number of people who could not leave their homes and just simply go to a hotel or a family member, because we're talking 80, 90-year-old senior citizens, man, that just couldn't move around. And so instead of my team out block walking and asking people for votes, I took my whole team, phone bankers, block walkers, and we just went door to door, did wellness checks just to make sure it's like it had nothing to do with politics, man. Because, you know, I've been in those situations, you know, growing up. I've seen it, heard the stories about it, and you just don't, you know, this is not a time to play politics.
Well, you did the Lord's work.
Yep.
I salute you, because it's a scary thing for seniors, because they don't know. And, you know, this whole concept of go to a hotel, you can't go to a hotel. I mean, all of a sudden you're going to spend $200 a night or something somewhere. Because remember, it may say $100, but by the time you have your taxes and all of your fees, right. I mean, boy, it just adds up real quick.
And then I can tell you this, man, when the lights went out, so my stepfather, you know, he's 80 years old and he's as stubborn as they come. Mm-hmm. And there was no lights. They didn't have a generator. And so I was like, let me take you guys to a hotel. And my parents were like, nope. Well, my mother was like, okay, let's go. But he was like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm not going. And there's so many seniors that are like that. I mean, that's their domicile. That's where they feel comfortable. That's where their medicine is. That's where, they know how to move around even in the dark.
That's right.
But it still wasn't healthy. I mean, it was hot. It was really bad. And mosquito, we in Houston, man. Yep. So, the state bird was biting.
You think you're going to like just open up the windows and cool down, but then the mosquitoes will turn you like that. Right. I remember we lost power during Harvey, and for about, 4 or 5 days. And for my kids at that time, I had 3 kids with me at home. One was already gone, and my wife, of course. And, we thought this is kind of cool. We had candles everywhere, and we're all there. We put all the cushions in the middle of the den, and we all stayed together. Boy, by the next day, though, Jarvis, reality set in, and it's like it is hot. Right. And boy, it wasn't cool. Cool. What I mean, cool is like cool. I know. Boy, it wasn't cool anymore. And we were just like begging for that to, AC to come on. It was so bad. We went to a friend of ours who had a generator, and it was one of those, small generators. Mm-hmm. And of course there's long cords everywhere. Right. And so we went over there to at least get a couple of hours worth of AC. That's how desperate we were. So no, I get it. And congratulations on doing all that work. So how are you feeling? So tomorrow's election day. And, it's been very interesting because I had gotten, and I live on the Southwest side, I don't know, probably 8 mailers from your opponent, and it's been the same 4 points that now we know are not correct, or they're certainly stretched far. Right. And then now in the runoff, or the here we are. I get all the elections confused, but the runoff. Right. I've only gotten 1, I think, from her, and I got 2 from you. And I thought yours were outstanding. Thank you. Because you're trying to, in a very gentlemanly way, frankly, correct the record. Right. Because you could have just said, just
believe me, it was. So when you asked me the question, brother, how am I feeling? Number one, I hate my staff. Yeah, because we're getting down to the left, and they pulling me in so many different directions, and of course it's a push and a pull. When I want to be like, you are a liar, a liar, a liar, a liar, and you can't, you can't. And it's unfortunate that because at the end of the day, if you said some things about me, and I'm competing with you, I get to tell you, Gilbert, you a liar. Yeah. And if you want to be a man to man, let's let's get each other's face. But I can't. But my staff was like, you can't. I was like, look, when you can't be rational with irrational people. My opponent been acting like a Republican. I want to treat her like a Republican because Republicans have that civil war and they beat each other up and they lie on each other. Yeah. They sensationalize everything to galvanize their base and make their base go crazy, and so I was ready, but when I say I hate my staff, I'm just tongue in cheek, but no, I know because at the end of the day, you just go here, go there, go here, go there, and pulling me all over the place, man. But we're in the winning circle. We're taking that energy from the March primary, where I was up by almost 20 points, and carrying that into the runoff. That special election, it did exactly what I hoped it would do, because there were too many people that felt so comfortable and they were so complacent. And so, you got this, Jarvis, don't even worry about me. You don't need my help. And I kept telling everybody every election matters. And so, but I think it woke up my base. And so the base then realizes, well, wait a minute. Yeah, we got to go fight for our soldier because he's always fought for us. So that's why I think we're in a really good position, block walking and phone banking. But the one thing that I will say is that I asked my opponent to join me and talk about postponing the election because there were too many people that were impacted by this storm. And I realized the number of people, they're not thinking about voting. That's right. They're thinking about trying to get their lights on. And then even when they got the lights on, they were not back to normalcy because there was a lot of food that they had to throw away. That's and people don't have, when you look at the statistics, the number of people that don't have that dispensable income. A lot of people spend their checks and it meets the needs of their monthly, and so to deviate from that, to say, oh, we threw away $100 and some odd dollars of food, to a lot of, to me and you, like, I don't like it, but I can weather it.
Right.
To many senior citizens and to many people who living check to check. Man, that's a lot to endure. So I was like, let's talk about postponing the race.
Not only that, think of it this: already you're not getting enough media attention about the race because you just never get enough, right?
Right.
And then now all the media has been all about the storm. Mm-hmm. So in other words, I don't even know if people really know there's an election.
Yeah.
I mean, I really mean that.
Mm-hmm.
And tomorrow I'm going to make sure my whole office goes and votes, and I'm going to make sure, but not every business is like mine,
right?
Where the boss says, you know what, it's important to go vote. I'm not worried about how long did it take and where you're going. It's just, we got to go vote. So, so she wouldn't postpone.
No, because I think what she realized from the beginning was like, she knows where the vulnerable communities are, and that's not the base that she was appealing to. She's appealing to certain people, not to everybody. And she certainly doesn't have the empathy to understand what the people are going through. And the reason why I say she doesn't have the empathy, she and her father, or her father comes from money. Yep. Not just little money. We talk money.
Yep.
She herself lives in a, almost a $700,000 house. And so she don't understand when people are hurting, they don't think about certain things. They don't think about, I need to get out to vote, But the fact that she did do that, I think, opened the eyes to a lot of people. And we're like, wow, you don't care about the situation that we're in right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because when the day after the storm hit, while I told my team, let's go straight, start doing wellness checks, she was sending out emails raising money.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't raising money for the storm. She was sending a letter out to raise money for her campaign.
Right.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's so disappointing. Hold that thought. We got another caller. Brother Chris, are you there? I want to come back to that, though. It says a lot about character. When you really look at the two ways that y'all handled this situation, it says volumes about character. Brother Chris, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Brother Chris, you got me, Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert with Representative Jarvis Johnson. Of course, he's on the ballot for Senate.
I want to say this, first of all, to all the veteran military people out there, thank you for your service.
Amen.
And also to get representatives and elected officials such as Jarvis Johnson, thank you for having the courage to be on the ballot to want to make a difference for the people. See, this is not Jarvis' first ride. He always been serving the people. And you see, God don't make leaders. God makes servants. They become leaders. Jarvis has always been a servant of the people because that's what he cares about. He's not a politician. He's a people. He's not doing it for the money. Everybody knows Jarvis Johnson is not no broke individual out here. As a matter of fact, he also been in the community. He had this Aunt B's restaurant where he employed people in the community. He's just not about to start and job. He really cares. And also, he's always been there when nobody else was. Some people wait till election time and want to come to the community neighborhood. Jarvis has always been the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifference. So we got to get back to the polls and send a message loud and clear where the living, the dead, and unborn cannot send it any loud and clear. So loud and loud in everybody that Jarvis Johnson for the people, he mean business. And also, we can't forget Vivian King. She's also on the ballot for District Judge 486. She's one of those warrior lawyers who's been on the front line forever for the people, for like Jarvis Johnson. And he's not doing it for the money. And Vivian King wasn't doing it. They do it because they actually really care. And you got to support somebody like that, no matter what. And then you can look at this guy. I heard brothers in the jury talking earlier. People not taking into account of how them not voting gonna affect the children. So if you don't vote for yourself, at least do it for the children who can't vote. That's the way you can make it. But you gotta have good candidates and officials like Jarvis Johnson, because he's always been. Jarvis just didn't ride the scene. He's been there.
Well, Brother Chris, you always say it like it is. Always say it like it is. That's an old one, though. Let me just ask you this, brother. Can you do me a favor?
Sure.
Can you say us a short prayer here? Because remember, it's called A Tip from Gilbert, Talk Inspiration Prayer. Just no matter what, just say a little prayer over Mr. Representative Jarvis Johnson, that the good Lord just gives him strength to continue to work, the next 48 hours or so. and that God's will be done here, if you don't mind.
Well, Heavenly Father, we come before you as your word said, in the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior, to continue as Brother Jarvis Johnson knows fight can go out on the battlefield for justice as David did, knowing that you are with him and you and get the job from to advance your kingdom and do your will in Jesus' mighty name.
Amen.
Amen,
Brother Chris, thank
Amen.
you for calling, and please call in again, my friend.
Oh, I will. And Jarvis, count me in, brother. We'll be out there voting and helping and knocking on the door and getting lighted, and everybody to the polls to vote. We cannot. As a matter of fact, yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is too late. Now is the time.
Say that one more time. Yesterday's gone.
Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow is too late. Now is the time.
Now's the time. Amen. I love that. Thank you, Brother Chris.
Thank you, brother.
Now, my line is from Apollo Creed when he told Rocky Balboa, there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. I think we have another caller already. Is there a Nancy on the phone? Is there something going on that you want to? I don't think people can hear. Is that it?
No.
Oh, okay. Can I get? Is there a Nancy on the phone? Nancy, are you there?
Yeah, hi, I'm here.
Nancy, what do you got for me? This is a Gilbert from a tip from Gilbert with Representative Jarvis Johnson. What do you got for us today on this Monday?
Hi there, and happy Memorial Day. Thank you for being out there and speaking. I have a question. What do you think are the most pressing issues that you're facing in this election cycle?
Well, thank you, Nancy, for that. So, Jarvis, what are the big issues? First of all, in your district, your rep district, and then what's different between that and the Senate district? Thank you, Nancy, for that question.
Thank you.
The question, well, the difference is, number one, the Senate district obviously is 5 times larger than the.
It's 5 times larger.
5 times larger. So in my state office for 139 was 200,000 people, but now in this Senate race, it's 900,000.
Wow!
So almost 1 million people. So and the territory obviously is a whole lot bigger. I think one of the main, obviously most pressing issue that we have right now is education. Period. When you look at Senate District 15, although HISD makes up one part of the district, there's so many other districts that are involved, but the state itself is not fully funding education. When you don't fully fund education, you leave it to the local ISDs to try to make up the loss in revenue and finances that they need, and therefore they're raising their rates. And so that I think it's a trickle down, or it's a combination of two things. So not fully funding education triggers districts to raise their rates, which raises your taxes. And so we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We simply did that. Secondly, obviously, is it's access. For me, it's access to healthcare. Texas lags last in children without access to healthcare. It lags last in this entire country. While we're the greatest state in the greatest country, we always say, but our children don't have access to healthcare. That's pitiful. And that's physical and mental.
That is pitiful when you think about all the richness of what we have here, and the budget surplus that the state has. It's ridiculous. Please.
And then of course, third, you have to include women's reproductive rights. Now that's going to be a fight that we're going to have across this nation, because as you see, it becomes more restrictive. And we as Democrats are always going to continue to fight for that access, that nobody has autonomy over anybody's body, especially a woman's right to have access to childbirth, or themselves to be able to terminate a child birth that could have been harmful to them, to the baby, whatever the case may be. So we have to always make sure that we put those 3 things, for me right now, are the most important. And from there's a lot of other things that comes to mind. Of course, you got to have voting access. You got to make sure that people have the right to vote. You got to make sure that we're supporting businesses and helping business continue to do business so they can create jobs without giving people, giving these corporations millions upon millions of dollars for them to squander, because that money ain't trickling down.
That's right.
But for me, those are the 3 top things that I focus on, and I will continue to focus on. But there's so many other things. We got to deal with guns. We got to be able to, not take away people's guns as the Republicans want you to believe they're going to take your gun. Nobody wants to take your guns. We simply don't want them in the hands of people who have mental illness. Or we certainly don't want them in the hands of, some 16, 15, year old kid that has access to it, that don't have the ability to temper their anger when they get angry, and go and shoot up schools or synagogues or churches or things like that.
And why do they need machine guns anyway? Look, there was guns in my family. We were hunters. I wasn't a big hunter.
Because they don't know how to shoot when they go shoot their deer. And so they got to shoot.
You're going to go blow. I mean, you blow it up. And, and the whole reason on the deer start, what they call harvest the deer, because you eat the meat, like you eat, beef, like you eat turkey. And if you blow it all up, there ain't going to be a lot of meat left. Yeah. So it makes no sense. Let's go back to something, because I just said that word. How much is the state surplus right now? Do you know offhand?
We have different pools of money. So we had $34 billion in surplus this past year. So $34 billion. So that's after we paid off everything. We still had $34 billion.
Yeah, I want to make sure Houston's getting that. So after the budget is there, all the taxes, property taxes, and everything, and then we spend it on all the services we need, education, et cetera, the parks. When it's all said and done, if you don't spend all the money you have that year, that's called a surplus, just like at your home. If you have income and you don't spend it all between your housing, your food, then you have a surplus or savings. And over time, we have built up a surplus, and now it's how much?
No. I'm sorry to be correct.
No, tell me.
This is not built up over time. This was 1 year.
Come on.
This was 1 year.
And what's that number?
One biennium.
What's that?
$34 billion. This is not, we've continued to, add to. No.
That's even worse.
This was a 2 year, because we do our budget every 2 years. So this is a biennium. $34 billion. Now you got to remember, a lot of that money came from the feds. So because the ARPA funds from the feds came down, and we used a lot of that money to pay down some of the things that we had already been doing, some of that budget. But then we looked at how that money then went into our savings pot, because we used the federal money to take care of that. So that left us with $34 billion. Now we still have in our rainy day fund, and don't quote me on this, but we have about 28 billion in our rainy day fund.
Holy cow. Well, that must be when I said you have money, it's built up over time. That's the rainy day fund. At the end of the day, what makes no sense.
And that's just sitting there just collecting. It's not, but you got to ask yourself, when is it going to rain? When is it raining? Because, we spent, of that $34 billion, we spent. That's like you go into your budget and you go, okay, honey, we got 30, we got this much money after this year, after we spent everything. We got a good surplus. What do you want to go buy, or what do you want to do to make our future brighter? Right. And your wife says, let me not use your wife, because I love your wife.
No, but I know what you mean. Keep going.
But she says, I want to paint the roof pink.
Yeah.
And you go, well, why would you want to do that? Well, it keeps the birds off. It's like, baby, it's going to rain next real hard. So why don't we go buy a generator? Nope. I want to paint the roof pink. I mean, when I say something facetious, that we spent $500 million on SpaceX. And you go, why would Texas spend $500 million on SpaceX? And we got NASA right here in our backyard. Why would we give some rich person $500 million to go explore the space?
And come on, the guy's worth like $30 billion. Yeah. He can spend his own $500 million.
Right.
Come on.
So why would we do that? Because we frivolously have been spending money, and not, we spent $10 billion just this year alone for Governor Abbott to have a slush fund to literally take migrants that are coming into the country and ship them off to, ship them off to Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C. They've spent tons of money on that. And then, of course, Operation Lone Star, and it has not created any results. Has shown any results from Operation Lone Star to stop the amount of migrants that are coming into this country.
I mean, let's go back for 1 second, because I appreciate all the things you've been saying. So the whole key is, if you have that money, it's a rainy day fund. I think it's raining right now. Am I missing something? Because when you see a storm and you have people lined up for food, lined up for things, there are still food drives at churches, and you have people lined up for 4 hours for a carload of food. People are hurting. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to your concept of empathy. Mm-hmm. If you don't have empathy and you're not out there really in the community with the people, you don't really know the hurt that exists. Right. And it's out there, Houston. And that is why my view is not only is it raining, it's storming. And even if you thought it wasn't storming, at least do something to invest in the future, whether it's our infrastructure, whether it's our school system, no matter what. There's things that we should be investing in right now for the future. So that brings me to the schools district, because there was a comment on there from one of the Facebook people that just said to comment on, what do you think about Mr. Miles, et cetera. And I just want to throw that out there. That was a question from one of our listeners.
Well, I tell you, Mike Myers is, I always say that. I don't know why I call that man Mike Myers, but I think it's a Freudian slip. But his name is Mike Myers.
Yeah, that's right.
But he has become like the Halloween character that is literally killing education, man. And so it is appropriate to call him Mike Myers. You call Mike Morath, who is the CEA. Yep. The thing about it, they're destroying education, and there's no clear path or even justification to determine that what they're doing is going to be healthy for the future. And we all know, I mean, they're not even trying to hide it. We know you're destroying HISD so that you'll have a small minority of people who will say, we need vouchers because HISD is too bad. I can't put my children there. We need vouchers. And, and that's just kind of where it goes. And people don't understand the political process, and a lot of people don't understand the sacrifice that is needed in order to make the change that is necessary. I'm so glad that Mike Miles had the audacity to go into certain communities and destroy the education system of that particular community. He thought, like the governor has thought, and like the lieutenant governor all across the state, that they can go into certain Republican communities and destroy it, and then they find new leadership that would then fall in line. And the reason why I say that is because you had rural Republicans that were adamantly against voucher system because they understood what would happen to their communities if you took this many kids out of the system, this many dollars out of the system. That is their job market. People in rural Texas understood that this is going to hurt. And so the moderate Republicans were like, no, we're not standing. We're against vouchers. So the governor and the lieutenant governor went out and found people who were just going to be like, look, we're listening to these guys and we're going to destroy education because our children needs vouchers. But you understand what the consequence of that is. You're going to destroy your entire town, your entire city, your entire tax base. You're going to destroy it. All because why? Because the governor said he wants vouchers when 70% of this state is adamantly against it. And so we're allowing that 30% to be the loudest. But they decided to come into Houston and think they were going to get people to fall in line. And you woke up a sleeping giant because those ladies over there in Meyerland and Bel Air and some of the River Oaks schools, man, look, and this is no knock to them. I'm just saying this is their lifestyle. But brother, they don't have work to go to every single day. I mean, a lot of these people are business owners but they have time on their side. Yep. And man, you wouldn't mess with Mama Bear, and those mamas showed up, and those mamas are going, and now they're going to talk to the Greater Houston Partnership. They're talking to the business community, and they said, if you don't leave HISD alone, we're coming for your throat. And I was like, ooh, y'all to mess with the wrong one.
Well, what gets me is, number one, how are we going to measure success between here and whatever there is in this, 5-year experiment, whatever it might be? Is a school district bigger? Is a dropout rate better? What is the measurement of success? And I'd like to know that.
Some standardized testing that they keep changing every year to fit their narrative.
Well, and the other thing that gets me is What's the metric for some of these decisions? Where am I going? I saw an article, Representative, with some really wonderful principal, got Principal of the Year, got all these awards. She was fired. It's like, wait a minute. How could you have gone from Principal of the Year just last year to now you're not doing a good job and you're fired? See, that doesn't just make any sense. Yeah. And sometimes, Houston, you just got to say, does it pass the reasonableness test? And that doesn't sound reasonable.
It doesn't. And then they came up with some excuse to say that, oh, well, there were they tried to then kind of fudge how these principals made Principal of the Year last year based on the matrix that you set out to demonstrate why I was Principal of the Year. But then you're saying based on last year's matrix, but we're going to judge you on this year's matrix. And so we're going to fire you because if the matrix was in place that we put in place this year, last year, you wouldn't have been Principal of the Year. You go, wait a minute. I played by the rules that you established at that time and I succeeded. But now you're saying, but this year had been in place. It's that crazy.
It doesn't make sense.
It don't make sense.
Well, here's the thing. If you said, well, this was like a grade, if you're fired, then I guess your grade is an F. Well, if last year you're Principal of the Year, I guess your grade was an A. You can't tell me in 1 year you went from an A to an F.
Right.
That just makes no sense.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something, Representative, because let's go back to the race because we still have a few more minutes. And what's interesting to me is some of the things your opponent has said that you're for vouchers and all these kinds of things, when in reality, how could you be for vouchers when you have the endorsement of the teachers who are the most anti-voucher group there can be?
Yeah.
Right? That makes no sense.
Well, I've
doesn't that make no sense to you?
It doesn't make any sense. But when you don't have a platform of your own, then you use the platform of your opponent against your opponent by simply saying, because everybody's, well, Jarvis, the charter people gave you money. Because somebody gave me money does not mean that everything that they want me to do, I do. Gilbert, you gave me money. And at 2 a.m, you call me and say, Jarvis, I need you to wake up and go do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Like, brother, I appreciate your support, but it don't work like that. I'm sorry, brother. I'm not. That's right. I'm nobody's yes man. I mean, I appreciate the help. I appreciate the support. You believe in my platform. I'm not going to ignore you. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not your boy. That's right. In the street term, you my boy.
Yeah,
you know
yeah, yeah.
But I'm not your boy just as every day. Jarvis, vote yes. Jarvis, vote yes. Jarvis, no, that's not how it works. But there's so many people that don't understand that want to sensationalize it and say, well, you took money from these people and these people. I take money from, if you're going to give me money to help my campaign to get my message out to my people, heck yeah. Heck yeah. When the house is on fire, anybody can bring the water. Yeah. That don't mean you own my house. Right. Because you helped put the fire out because you brought me some water. That's all that is. So the teachers support me, the teachers union, and of course, so many of the principal organizations have supported me, and they know. But unfortunately, it's politics. It's not politics. She started playing politics and lying about my record and saying these things just to hope. I was out block walking, and the guy was like, "Well, your opponent says that you seem more Republican than her." I said, what's funny is that every time we go somewhere, everybody says they want to work across the aisle. So you're trying to tell me I'm more Republican because I decided to try to work across the aisle. That is a majority Republican-led body. If you want to get anything done in this state, you better have some relationships with some folks.
You either work across the aisle or you're irrelevant.
Or you get run over on the tracks.
Run over.
Yeah.
That's right.
So at the end of the day, I decided I'm going to work across the aisle, but I don't need, but the thing is that everybody wants, you got to be progressive. You got to be anti-everything. Well, I'm not anti-everything because I believe in the progress of making sure that we build infrastructure. My opponent decided that she wanted to be against the progression of the state of in Houston, I-45. that infrastructure money that would have been in place to expand the freeway, to give more access, to give more flow, would have helped. We would have had more money for infrastructure to get rid of some of the heavy flooding that happens along I-45, and it certainly would have had money available for fair and affordable housing. My opponent was adamantly against it because she thought they could have done better. You're a nurse. Talk about nursing.
Yeah.
Let the engineers do the
That's
engineering.
Right. And at the end of the day, that money's allocated. It either is going to be spent here
somewhere else.
or somewhere else. It's not like use it or use it. I mean, use it or lose it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is use it or lose it. And it's not like you could say, well, I don't want that $6 billion, but I'll use it for something else. No, it's either this is what we want to do. You got to get that money.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get that money. And then the task is, how do we make sure we get that money and get as much support for the neighborhoods as we can possibly get? Because we need that infrastructure, we need that traffic flow, and we need those jobs, Jarvis.
Mm-hmm.
We need those jobs.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. I want to go on another one because I came out last week to support you, and I've had a lot of interesting response. And people said, "Well, Gilbert, I hear that he's a MAGA." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I go, "How could you even think such a thing?" Well, that's what the thing says. What's crazy is, did you ever think that someone would ever really look you in the I mean, Houston, some things are just so preposterous. Yeah. They're just not even sane that you would be called a MAGA when your track record has been screaming progressive, Democrat, the people. I mean, that's what your record has been for years, even going back to council, going back to your stuff when you did stuff for the young kids and the stuff that you did, the nonprofit after school. I mean, have you ever thought anybody would really have a straight face and call you MAGA? Come on.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm an experienced lawmaker, so I expect people to say certain things, but I did woefully underestimate how people's thirst for lies is. I've always known a lie is always going to travel farther than the truth. And I know the bloodthirstiness of the voters these days. They just want to show me that you're anti-everything, anti-Republican, anti-this. Although I want some progression in my community. I want some things done in my community. But I want you to be anti-everything. First of all, you don't know me. Because if you don't know the fact that I've stood on the House floor and have gone toe to toe, nose to nose, and told every Republican, meet me outside if you got a problem with me. You know what I'm saying? We could do it here on this House floor, or we can do it out here on this grass. That's the kind of guy I am. Real talk. But I do understand how, because I do get the respect of my colleagues who are Republican, because they realize Jarvis is a straight shooter. Jarvis is fair. Jarvis does see it from both sides. And so I'll continue to be that balanced lawmaker that I can sit at the table, even though Lieutenant Dan and I are polar opposites, that he and I can sit at a table and negotiate, because I understand what politics truly is. It's not about these games. And right now, opponent is playing games. She's been playing games because, again, the statistics say call them a MAGA and you'll get everybody to be on your side, even though they don't know the real truth. And so today, it's truly about not telling the truth. It's about telling the story first. And as long as you tell the story first, whether it's right or wrong, that is what the people believe, because it was the first thing that they heard. And so that's kind of why she's been out pushing, these lies. But every time we get into circles where we are together at the same place, she never brings up the lie.
Wow.
Never want to talk about it, because she knows she can't defend it.
Shane, you have 1 minute. I want you to look in that camera and tell Houston whatever you want to tell them, starting with why they need to make sure they vote for you tomorrow.
I want to give it up for my brother Gilbert Garcia for giving me this platform and always talking about politics and make sure everybody is informed and know what's going on. You can get out to vote tomorrow, starting at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can vote in your local community or wherever you want in Harris County. So get out and vote. And when you do vote Jarvis Johnson, Senate District 15.
There you go. You heard it here first, Houston.
Let me do this. I got to give it up for my staff, because I know I've been mad and angry at all of y'all, but I love you. And in that victory circle, we're going to be all love.
Way to go. You got to give it up. We got some staff members here, and boy, they are just laughing right here. because they know exactly what you're talking about. Houston, this is Gilbert Garcia saying we will see you next time. This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source on Sandgeek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM and Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.